Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to Good Measure. My name is David and I'll be your host today. Today we have Chris Koronowski, LinkedIn strategist specializing in Web3 and all things blockchain. He's here today to talk with us about Web3, content creation, and a bit about how different companies use technologies to elevate their brands. Chris, thank you so much for being here with us today. Do you mind quickly introducing yourself to those in the audience who may not be familiar with you and your work?
Thank you so much, David, for having me. Sure, yes, I can definitely do the short introduction. So, long story short, I've spent the last 5 years on LinkedIn. I've been working mainly with the Web2 companies. So I've been working with different startups, with agencies, SEO agencies, software houses on their LinkedIn strategy, LinkedIn branding, demand generation, lead generation, strategies based for sales and marketing. I basically decided to switch into Web3 only this year, starting with January. So I was observing. Okay, let's start this. Like I was observing the space. Even last year, I joined the space in terms of some investing in cryptocurrencies, 2017, 2018, before the bear market that happened in 2018. And I was doing some dollar cost averaging since then, but I was not really interested in the space to really do something here, right? So I decided to switch to Web3 at beginning of this year. I started observing different content creators on LinkedIn, learning about their what content they are creating, what are their strategies, and then started creating content by myself. There was two failures during that time because I started firstly creating content in January, February, and I quit it quite quickly. And then there was another attempt in May. I posted probably around 10, 15 posts, and then I also quit it. And then just in January, there was the time when I were like, okay, Christian, just focus. You need to do something in the Web3 space and start creating content daily. So I started creating content since January 16th. It's already 2 months today when I'm creating content every single day, and a lot of things happened during that time. So yeah, this is how I'm here. Like why I'm interested also in Web3 space is mainly because that's the future. Like long story short, that's really the future. I want to be part of it.
And so like let's start from the beginning and to right now. And so how has your sort of perception on this Web3 technology changed over the course of the last 7 to 8 months? And how has being a creator really helped change the way that you approach learning about Web3, say like before, like when you were investing in crypto versus actually being a content creator on LinkedIn for this?
Sure. So the change is very different, right? So whenever you are an investor, I was mainly like a dollar cost averaging. So I knew that I want to invest in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I was just doing this almost automatically by averaging the cost, right? So I was not really involved in what is happening in the space. And then when I started realizing that, oh my gosh, there is so many different things happening in Web3. So on one side, you have NFTs. 2021 was like huge for NFTs. Then you have DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations that are just, autonomous and decentralized organizations, and they can work by themselves. I'm even part of one. And then you have DeFi, decentralized finance. Then there is metaverse and the whole concept about the metaverse. So when I started realizing that there is so many things happening, it really gets me into learning about that, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized that the best way to learn is also share your journey and the things that you learn in the process, right? So and because I started sharing my experiences, like I'm not an expert, I'm still saying that I'm just exploring the Web3, and I'm sharing my journey. In this sense, like a lot of people just were coming to me and wanted to meet with me, which was great. Like why not? Like we can meet, we can chat. and then we can share our experience, right? So this is also a big difference. Before, like I was just doing something automatically with the investment. Now I can meet people, I can get more information. Maybe I can also be involved in the different projects, right?
Yeah.
So the difference is huge. Like since I started creating content daily, like a lot of people just approach me, Chris, I would love to meet with you, right? So it's really great.
Yeah. And so as a thought leader and sort of advocate for Web3, how do you see your posts affecting your followers and those who are interested in Web3? Because there's really one post of yours that really hit home where you're talking about scrolling with purpose and how you don't really want to go through Web3 content just looking at like, hey, this is interesting, just like to actually go into like looking for Web3 content and being specific about what you're looking for when you're on the social media.
So my main goal is to really educate people on one side about Web3, so in easy way. So that's why, for example, one of the posts are comparing Web2 to Web3. So someone who is really not in Web3 can understand them, right? And really maybe start learning a little bit about the tools and switching to Web3. On the other side is to also educate people how to create better content, right? Because I believe that it's not about me, educating the space, but it's about everyone educating in a proper way the space, the people about Web3, right? So I want to also give my perspective on how to create good content on LinkedIn. That's why I'm also investing in myself to be a better content creator. And I just joined Nas Academy, right? I just announced yesterday that I will be learning about content on video and doing this on LinkedIn. So really pushing forward that all the content creators can be better at educating other people, right? And about the post that I created with the unmindful scrolling, like I think that's the biggest waste on any platform, right? Social media platform. Is it TikTok? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram? If you're just unmindfully scrolling and consuming the content, you're not really, creating anything, building anything. You're losing so much potential value, right? So definitely, I would recommend anyone to start being a content creator, because that's how you can really meet a lot of people. Like, for example, you, right? You are a content creator in terms of podcast, and you are definitely meeting a lot of people, getting their thoughts, their ideas, and as well, you're learning, right? So, yeah.
And so you mentioned a bit about Web2 versus Web3. And so for some people who aren't familiar, can you tell them really about the differences that you might see in between products built on Web3 versus products on Web2? Like I was personally thinking a bit specifically about the Brave browser system, because it's actually a browser system that I've actually been using for like 1 to 2 years now. And so I thought this would be like a great comparison for some people who aren't too familiar with this.
Sure. So just taking that example. So I was comparing Chrome browser with the Brave browser, right? So Brave, one thing that is giving privacy, right? So that's the most important thing, that everything is like you have built-in VPN, it's everything private. You have the possibility to block all the unnecessary stuff like ads, right? So it's faster, and it also has a built-in wallet, right? So it's already connecting you to the Web3 world, because you can utilize the wallet to connect to different other Web3 platforms, right? So those are the main difference with the Chrome. But there are many more tools out there, and the main difference is that you are owning the possibility to have access to different platforms through your wallet that is only for yourself, right? Taking into consideration, I was just having the call with guys who built the Zoom, right? Zoom or Google Meet for Web3. And how you log into that platform, you're logging in with your wallet. You can connect to that platform. You can connect your NFTs that you have on that wallet. You can you can even gate that content. So let's say you utilize, instead of Zoom that we are meeting right now, you will utilize that platform that they built. You can gate that content with the NFT. So for example, you could firstly create an NFT, send to people, and then only those people who have that NFT can access the meeting with you, right? So it's totally different concept in terms of how you can engage with your audience, right? How you can make sure that very specific niche people can get access to your podcast, can get the access to your webinars and different stuff, right? So it's totally changing. In my opinion, it's totally changing the game of marketing. Like literally, we will use that in many different ways, that gated content for NFTs. And in my personal opinion, it will be also something that we will not use login and password to log into different places, but we'll use our MetaMask wallet, right, to log into different places. So login or even email. Email probably will stay for sure, but login and passwords, they could disappear. Like instead of like this concept that you probably saw a lot of posts like this that were comparing Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, right? So there was one post that was like saying that Web 1 was login and password, Web 2 was the login with Facebook, and Web 3 is the login with MetaMask, right? And this is exactly like how you can divide those different webs into simple idea.
Yeah. All right. And so speaking sort of about this space, Web3 and the blockchain is it's really massive. And so sometimes companies and executives just tend to misunderstand it, and many of the technologies within it, such as NFTs, crypto, DAOs, DeFi. And so what are some things that you wish companies understood about Web3 and the blockchain before really deciding whether or not to venture into the space?
I think they're supposed to answer the question how the blockchain will make their services or even products better, or how they could utilize blockchain in marketing, right? Or where is this this place where they can differentiate with their with what they are doing right now through the competition, right? So there's already a lot of examples like on the NFT space that different companies are entering NFTs because that's like a marketing vehicle for them, right? So this could be one idea. But I would firstly say, like, you would need to answer the question like which space would you like to enter, right? Because as you said, there is so many things happening. Like you can enter metaverse, you can enter NFTs, you can build your organization more as a DAO, right? Which will be totally decentralized. You can issue tokens, you can issue cryptocurrencies. So there is so many options. So you would need to firstly answer the questions, and eventually also like you would probably need to answer the question if your potential customers or your community that you are serving will really understand that technology, right? Because if they will not understand, there is also the education gap, right? So I'm even right now like discussing this concept of entering Web3 with one Web2 company, and they're kind of stressed because they know that their customers and their community is not really Web3 friendly, right? They would need to really firstly bridge that gap and do a lot of education that they could potentially move all of those customers and communities to the Web3, right? So, So I would firstly answer the question if this is really for you at the moment, and eventually if this can boost your marketing or whatever, right? So a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, and so with September coming closer and closer, this means that we are actually getting closer to the launch of your podcast, Web3 Doers. And so what are some things that you have coming up that you are really excited to share with us about? Like if you can share it.
Sure. There is, I can't share a lot. Like definitely I can tell you that there will be some, because the podcast is about Web3. So if I want to build a podcast about Web3, I would love to use Web3 tools, right? So I can already tell you that I'll be using some technology and tools with Web3 from Web3 to build a podcast, right? So there will be some things that will be probably like for some people will be like interesting, I believe, right? So I hope that the things that I planned will be seeing on LinkedIn like with excitement. So, but I can't say right now what it will be. I'm already planning to create an invitation for the guest, and I'll be releasing those invitations very soon. So that's something I can definitely tell. I already selected 20 people for the podcast. So this will be the first 20 guests, and let's see how many of them will accept the invitation. You also already know, right, that sending invitation, asking people to come to the podcast, it's interesting, but not everyone probably accept, right, the invitation. So I'm also like really wondering how many people will accept that invitation. And then on one side, I'm also planning to have the podcast that it will be diverse as much as possible. I would love to have people from many different locations around the world. I would love to have people from different skin color, different sexual orientation. I would love to have similar numbers of women and men on the podcast, right? So this is definitely that I can also share. And yeah, like this, all of that diversity and inclusion is coming from me being a part of ISEC organization, which is one of the global youth run organization. I was part of that organization during my studies, and I remember when we've been organizing a conference in Egypt, right? And there was like people coming from 120 countries to one place. There was like 800 people. Everyone were totally different, with totally different cultures of a view on the world. So I want to make sure that the podcast is the same. Like for me, Web3 is about decentralization, right? So, and I would love to hear the stories from people, like how this Web3 is built in their countries, how this influence their region, like what's the difference between different regions and the world, like, and yeah. So that's why I would love to have it as a totally diverse and decentralized in terms of the podcast.
All right. Well, that's all I have for today. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us? Anything that you'd like to shout out before we end today?
Definitely observe me on LinkedIn. So that's the platform where I'm based, where you can definitely check out my content. I'm not active on any other platforms, so that's the only place where you can really reach out to me, talk to me. I'm really open to any conversations about Web3 marketing, sales, and doing jolly businesses. So definitely approach me. It was really amazing and really cool, David, to be on that podcast, and I wish you all the best with next guest speakers.
All right. Well, thank you so much.